Okay, and I like to do 3 verses from the Bhagavatam to glorify the Bhagavatam and also set the context of what we're doing. So the first one, this is the very popular verses. Rayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. That means before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer their respectful obeisances on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantas Dohya Badrani Vidhunoti Sahritsatam. That means Sri Krishna, who's the Paramatma, the super soul within the heart of each living entity, and the benefactor, the truthful devotee, cleanses the heart of material desire of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. And the last is Nashtapraya Shvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishliki. And that's by regular hearing of the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee. Almost all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed. The love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is established as an irrevocable fact. So let's get into it. Our verses here. I have it up behind me, so I'm just going to read from here. So Parth, go to verse 62, if you could for me. And so do you want me to do the Sanskrit for all of these verses?
Maybe for just one.
Okay, so I'll do the last verse. I think that's what Anupam does. All right, so we're going to do just the English right now, and then we'll focus on the last verse. So just to set a little context, Uddhava has been, you all probably know because you're continuing, but to me this is a new spot. But Uddhava has been visiting the Vrajabasis, and he went there to actually teach them, which is the funny thing. But Krishna is kind of a trickster, so he sent Uddhava there for his well-being so he could actually learn from the Vrajabasis. And so now we're at the point now where Uddhava has completely realized that he is completely at the feet of these exalted devotees known as the Vrajabasis, and the topmost being the gopis. So these are, I think we're like 2 or 3 verses in to Uddhava's prayers at the end. That's really nice. So we'll read them together. So this one, 62, the English is: the goddess of fortune herself, along with Lord Brahma and all the other demigods, who are masters of yogic perfection, can worship the lotus feet of Krishna only within her mind. But during the rasa dance, Lord Krishna placed his feet upon these gopis' breasts, and by embracing those feet, the gopis gave up all distress. And next verse, 45. All right. I repeatedly offer my respects to the dust from the feet of the women of Nanda Maharaj's cowherd village. When these gopis loudly chant the glories of Sri Krishna, the vibration purifies the 3 worlds. Shukadeva Goswami said, Uddhava, the descendant of Dasharha, then took permission to leave from the gopis and from Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. He bade farewell to all the cowherd men, and about to depart, mounted his chariot. Next. As Uddhava was about to leave, Nanda and the others approached him, bearing various items of worship. With tears in their eyes, they addressed him as follows. Nanda and the other cowherds said, may our mental functions always take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. May our words always chant his names, and may our bodies always bow down to him and serve him. Wherever we are made to wander about this world by the Supreme Lord's will in accordance with the reactions to our fruit of work, may our good works in charity always grant us love for Lord Krishna. Shukadeva Goswami continued, O ruler of men, thus honored by the cowherd men with expressions of devotion for Lord Krishna, Uddhava went back to the city of Mathura, which was under Krishna's protection. And the final verse we'll do the Sanskrit for. So you guys can repeat after me. Oh, just got to get it back. 1 second. Could be in the tab part. Or I can get it. Or maybe it could be. Oh, you have it. Krishnaya Pranipatyaha Bhaktyudrekam Brajokasam Vasudevaya Ramaya Ragye Chopaya Nanyada. C2. So go down. Do you guys do all the synonyms? Just give me a thumbs up.
We can do synonyms.
Okay. So Krishnaya to Lord Krishna. Pranipatya, after falling down to pay homage. Aha, he told. Bhakti, of pure devotion. Udrekam, the abundance. Raja Okasam, of the residents of Raj. Vasudevaya, to Vasudev. Ramaya, to Lord Balaram. Ragye, to the king Ugrasena. Cha, and Upayanani, the items received in tribute. Adat, he gave. Translation. After falling down to pay his homage. Uddhava described to Lord Krishna the immense devotion of the residents of Raj. Uddhava also described it to Vasudev, Lord Balaram, and King Ugrasena, and presented to them the gifts of tribute he had brought with him. All right. So the purport is, thus ends the purports, the humble servants of Bhagavatam, the Prabhupada. Ki Jai. Maybe go back, we can read a purport. The last verse that has a purport. So this is the verse, a ruler of men thus honored by the cowherd man with expressions of devotion for Lord Krishna. Uddhava went back to the city of Mathura, which was under Krishna's protection. And the purport is, the word Krishna Palitam indicates that even though Uddhava became quite attached to the land of Vrindavan, he returned to Mathura because Sri Krishna was personally displaying his transcendental pastimes there. So, Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksharun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunath Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nivisheshunyavadi Pashe Deshatarine Vanchakalpa Tribhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so thanks again for inviting us. This is a really beautiful verse, really beautiful subject matter. It depends. We could look at this a few ways, but you could say this whole chapter, well, few chapters, is Uddhava is kind of getting an introduction to this Raganuga Bhakti, or which is one of the deeper elements to our line. Not to be taken cheaply. I thought one of the fun things today was maybe detail what the difference is between Vaidhi Bhakti, which is what primarily we're taught to practice as we should, and Raganuga Bhakti, which is the bhakti of the residents of Vrindavan. And so Uddhava, because Krishna is kind of a trickster, he wanted to send Uddhava to essentially learn about this Raganuga Bhakti by seeing firsthand just how they practice and what they what they live, the emotions that they live. So it was quite a shock to Uddhava when he goes there and he starts trying to give them this high jnana and this high knowledge, and they just were not accepting anything at all. But he was just completely mesmerized by their complete love for Krishna. So this is something that we should hopefully get to understand more about. There's many references and places, but ideally we read all of Srila Prabhupada's books first. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, this will become revealed more and more and more. But it's ideal to read first Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam. Actually, every book you can get a hold of Srila Prabhupada's. But you see underlying, especially in Nectar of Devotion, you see this is kind of the direction that Srila Prabhupada is pushing us, but it is proper to have the proper frame of reference to understand the residents of Vrindavan and to understand their moods. So, we see firsthand here that Uddhava, well, we don't see firsthand, but we can see from the Shastra of Srimad Bhagavatam how Uddhava is completely bewildered, especially earlier. I think this is the Song of the Bee. Is that called the Brahmara Gita? He's completely bewildered to see Radharani's divine madness, completely going mad over Krishna's separation from her. And, she wanted nothing, nobody wanted anything to do with Uddhava's high-level jnana, Paramatma realization, all of these really nice things, which actually can be really practical and relevant for us. But for people so absorbed in Krishna consciousness, for people so absorbed, and they're not ordinary people, for these devotees in such ecstatic association with Krishna, none of this is very important, actually. So Raganuga, or you could say that element of bhakti, is the trying to understand and follow in the footsteps of the residents of Vrindavan. You often see, even though Prabhupada would give so many classes on, basic philosophy or spirit soul and all these things, the beginning levels of tattva given in Bhagavad Gita, he'd always leave class with Jaya Radha Madhava, and he'd always bring it back to the residents of Vrindavan. So this is, and Prabhupada, if he was following just his own pure desires, he was happy in Vrindavan. Before he came to the West and suffered and struggled like anything to bring this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world, he was quite content, living in Vrindavan and practicing bhajan and working on his spiritual sadhanas. But the lingering Guru Maharaj's order that he never fulfilled just ate at him and ate at him. And then eventually he was working towards these things. but it was eventually time for him to go and spread the movement all over the world, and all glories to him because it worked. You know, the fact that I'm sitting in Syracuse and many of you are in New York City, and people from all over the world. I have Indian students here who are finding Krishna consciousness in the USA instead of India. And that's amazing. And that's all glories to Srila Prabhupada. And so, just to give again the frame of reference, that Uddhava is seeing the residents of Vrindavan and seeing these high-level devotees of Krishna, and he himself is a high-level devotee. Of all the Dwarkavasis, he is the topmost. You know, he is the most intimately connected with Krishna. Even has a deeper friendship with Krishna than Arjuna. But even he just wants to bow down and completely surrender unto the residents in Vrindavan, because he's seeing a level of love and association for Krishna that's far beyond anything that he knows. And so we too should appreciate the residents of Vrindavan. We too should strive to eventually want to approach these levels of bhakti. But before we should do that, you know, Prabhupada gave the 4 regulative principles. Prabhupada gave chanting 16 rounds, getting up early, doing a Mangalarti program. And he set up the temple schedule in such a way that one would cultivate primarily, you know, high-level sattvic practices in which you can practice your bhajan that will help you. And then eventually, you know, if you understand some of the deeper levels behind the timings of all the aratis and things, you might find it lines up actually with Krishna's activities in Vrindavan. It's called the Ashtakaliya Leela. Not that we should try and jump ahead to these things, but it's understand to know the prayojan, and prayojan means the end goal, and the end goal is Krishna prema. And how do we who has the most Krishna prema? It's the residents of Vrindavan. So they are our eternal gurus, our acharyas, every one of them. It's all agreed that they are eternally residents of Vrindavan, Goloka Vrindavan, and that we should follow in their footsteps. And Prabhupada has given us such a beautiful process. And first understanding the Shastra and following by the Shastra, going by the book, so to say. It's very appropriate. And it'll help give you the proper frame of mind, the proper place to begin, where eventually you may want to explore some of the deeper levels of the philosophy. You may want to explore the end goal, where this is all going. But we want to make sure we're properly situated. And just see Uddhava so properly situated. But then when he saw the residents of Vrindavan, by any material calculation, you would never be able to guess, oh, these are the ones who are the topmost devotees. But when you see that their love for Krishna is far deeper than he could even imagine, all he could do is offer his respectful obeisances unto them. So, like this, I wish I had a little bit more preparation time, but yeah, these are really really important concepts to get into. You know, we should, the 10th canto is, you know, the cream of the cream. The Bhagavatam is already the cream of Vedic literature, and the 10th canto is the cream of that. Not that we should just skip to the 10th canto, even if we do read Prabhupada a really nice Krishna book where he describes the pastimes of Sri Krishna throughout the 10th canto. But he also recommends we systematically read Bhagavatam from Canto 1 all the way through to Canto 12. But when we do get to the 10th canto, it's there's so much nectar there that we can't even fathom how deep it goes. And in specific, these chapters are really, really nice. And they set the foundation for the mood of what we should aspire for. And that's ultimately the residents of Vrindavan, to follow in their footsteps. This is this is the pretext for the more advanced levels of bhakti, but it's not to be taken cheaply. We've seen in different lines, and in specific, Bhakti Siddhanta spent a lot of time really challenging some of these sects of so-called Krishna consciousness that took it cheaply and were claiming to be Raganuga Bhaktas, and but following no proper activities in life, having all kinds of illicit relations with the opposite gender, eating all kinds of abhorrent things, so many things like that, coming up with really cheap philosophies, and some of them even liking to dress like gopis and things like that as men, and so many really wild things like that. But we should not think that this is what Raganuga Bhakti is. Instead, we should follow our acharyas. We should do regular hearing of Bhagavatam, regular hearing of Prabhupada, our gurus, our mentors, and we should follow in their footsteps. And then at one point, you may find yourself qualified to even begin to ask the question, what is the next step? And that is available for us. It is available. There's some one literature that's really quite nice, is by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It's called Jaiva Dharma. And if you read Jaiva Dharma systematically, it does take you from even the beginning levels of Vaidhi Bhakti all the way through what Raganuga Bhakti looks like. And you can at least get the essence of it. And it goes a lot deeper than just that one book. And it's something I have not even scratched the surface of. But it is nice, especially when we've, I'm assuming if everyone is listening into the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, that everyone is some type of seasoned devotee here, at least on the call. And you guys, I know I've been watching you practice for months now. And Val, you're brand new with us, but I've also seen you practice for years as well. But yeah, everyone is quite sincere. And so when one is sincere, Krishna reveals deeper and deeper levels of himself. So we see that Uddhava was quite sincere, and the most sincere of Dwarka. So Krishna gave Uddhava the first-hand experience of Vrindavan. And even actually we ourselves, it's recommended, whether there are 5 processes of bhakti that should always be there. This is, I believe, referenced in the Nectar of Devotion. And that's 1, we should always associate with devotees. 2, we should, I might get the numbers, we should always chant the holy names of the Lord. 3, we should always hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Am I forgetting my process of Krishna consciousness? And then
is that Nam Dam Bhagavatam devotees?
It's
stay in a holy place.
Yes, staying in Mathura was the one I was getting to, and then Archana as well, the deity worship. On top of the name of the Lord, Bhagavatam, and Sadhu Sangha. So this is this is our process. And actually, there's a reason Srila Prabhupada stayed in Mathura, and he recommends that we actually also go and at least visit Mathura, and Mathura being the greater Mathura area, Vrindavan. And that's why he established one of his main centers, ISKCON Vrindavan. I mean, and all glories to him. Last time I was in Vrindavan, I went during Kartik time, and I just don't know if I was qualified to be there for such a blessed time, because I just got so sick the entire time. But also it was amazing because you'd go at 4:30 in the morning and you couldn't even get in the building. You couldn't even get in the building. And it's a huge building. It's a huge temple. And there was like probably hundreds of people, and I was among always one of them, because I didn't get there at 3:30 in the morning, what you had to do to really get in and secure your spot. But they were they're outside just trying to get a little glimpse of the deities through the doors, on top of the hundreds that are also packed into the temple. So it's amazing. At 4:30 in the morning, that's what Vrindavan Krishna Balaram Mandir looks like. And so, clearly Srila Prabhupada's movement has flourished. And so we also should, at some point in our life, try to go to Vrindavan, seek the blessings of the sadhus there. Krishna mentions, I see a comment, I was there too. I lost it. But yeah, it's oh, she snuck in from the back. Yeah, you had to do all kinds of tactics to get some darshan when you go during Kartik. But yeah, this is our process. We hopefully can work on the basics, 16 rounds, 4 regulative principles, understanding, reading shastras every day, regular hearing. This is such an important thing. This is such an important platform to have regular hearing of the Bhagavatam, regular hearing of Bhagavat philosophy, because eventually this will set the framework for us to taste something, taste the prem that our acharyas in our line is offering. It will actually completely supersede all of the rules and regulations, but we can't just think we can jump, and we can't do it on our own strength as well. We can't do anything on our own strength. This all has to be achieved through the mercy of the Vaishnavas. And just like none of us would be here without the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and the mercy of his gurus and mentors, and so on up the parampara. None of us can make advancement without the mercy of the advanced Vaishnavas. So I pray you all seek the advanced Vaishnavas, and we can learn from them, just like Uddhava got the great fortune of seeing the advanced association of the residents of Vrindavan, and in specific the gopis, who, it was mentioned in one of the verses that not even the goddess of fortune, who controls all material opulence, could ever dream of experiencing with this. And even though she wants to, they could never dream of experiencing with Krishna what the Vraja Gopis did via the Ras dance and so on. So I think I'll end there for questions and discussion, mostly because I didn't have so much time because we had to run the Syracuse program. And
you did great, Ramdas Prabhu. You did great. Thank you so much. Wonderful class, balanced. You quoted so many shlokas. You kept it bona fide. Thank you, Prabhu. You did great. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to open it up for questions, answers, reflections, voice cracks, maybe corrections. We don't know. We'll see. Damodar Priya has her hand up. Is it a
Krishna, Ramdas Prabhu. I just was curious. We usually, when we have a new speaker that we haven't met before, it's nice for us to kind of find out how you came to Krishna consciousness, a little bit about your bhakti journey, so that we can get to know you, if you feel comfortable sharing.
Sure, I would happily share. I came to Krishna consciousness as like a yogi, you know. I was just practicing asana yoga, you could say, and really enjoying that. But you know, I began to realize very quickly that the people I was learning from, you know, they would the scriptures would say one thing, like literally the first rule of yoga was like ahimsa, you know, yamas and niyamas. The first yama is ahimsa, and then but somehow my yoga teacher was telling me that, oh, you don't have to worry about this rule. This isn't practical. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. The first rule of yoga is, you know, you shouldn't worry about it. And I just began to see a lot of things like that I just really disturbed me. So I kept looking deeper and deeper into things. And then eventually I found, you know, Bhagavad Gita, yoga philosophy, and that I don't know, Mayavad philosophy, you know, trying to be God. That was really attractive to me in the beginning. And then yeah, eventually I learned about Bhagavad Gita and Krishna, and I really, really blew my mind. And so I eventually found one of Prabhupada's books. Some devotee was there, and they had Radha Krishna statues, and I was collecting little Murtis, and they had a Bhagavad Gita. So I took it, and I found a Krishna book somewhere else earlier that Prabhupada wrote, and I read. It was like volume 1. It was like an old 1970s version. So yeah, basically I read books, and yeah, after I realized the conclusions of the books, I heard about a local temple about 45 minutes from where I was, and I just reached out, and it was so embarrassing, but I was like, I need a guru. I want to read the Bhagavatam, you know. So I like look back to that, and if I got that email now, I would just like laugh. But I would be encouraged too. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of how I found it, was books. And yeah, eventually I went to the temple, and the rest is kind of history.
So you transitioned from trying to be a god to trying to serve God.
Well, I mean, the attempt is there to potentially try and serve God, but the tendency to try to be God is still
It's a lifetime
hurting me
project.
very much. Yeah.
Michelle.
Hare Krishna. Please forgive any misspeakings I have. I'm a fairly new devotee, but I just, having been on Thank You to the Snow, I've been able to actually be on live class, which I really appreciate this week. But I was just thinking how you were talking about Uddhava being sincere, and I kept thinking like Uddhava was sincere, but he was also wrong, I guess, in some ways about why he was being sent to the gopis. Like we mentioned this in the last several days, which, you know, I think he thought he was going to teach them, and then the humility he ended up with in learning from them. And I needed to say that out loud because it's such a beautiful gift, I think, to be reminded that so often I think Krishna is leading me somewhere for a specific reason, and I'm wrong, and it ends up being even greater than what I had anticipated. And so I just wanted to share that more as a reflection. And thank you for using that phrasing with Uddhava being sincere. Because again, I think I'm just reminded that it really is about our hearts and like letting our hearts lead us and trust wherever it is that God is taking us. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You seem very sincere yourself. And I trust that Krishna will definitely be guiding you properly. But feel free to also, just like Uddhava was sincere and he was led to Krishna's confidential servants, feel free to check. You got a great group of Krishna's servants around here. So I'm sure there's a lot to learn from Krishna's servants. And that's the gift of our sincerity. We get the gift of those who are even more sincere than us, and we can learn from them. And so, yeah, I pray for to meet more and more sincere devotees so I can learn from them.
Ramdas Prabhu, we have a question in the chat as a follow-up from mine. Martine is asking about how long ago it was. So perhaps if you can give us like a time frame of your Krishna conscious journey. please?
Sure. So now, how long ago was it? 2016, it's 2024. It'll be, it's like maybe a little over 7 years. I kind of, but you could say, when I read Bhagavad Gita, I'm 31 now. I read Bhagavad Gita when I was 21 years old, and I decided that I wanted to be a devotee of Krishna then. At 21, I just didn't know what that looked like. It said in the Bhagavad Gita, that was the conclusion. And I read the Bhagavad Gita. I was told if I read the Bhagavad Gita 5 times, I'll get enlightened by my Mayavadi yoga teachers. And I was like, well, I'm totally trying to get enlightened. It was a small book too, so I did. But so yeah, how long ago was that all? But I found Srila Prabhupada's books maybe in 2015, one Srila Prabhupada book, and then I really took to it in 2016, and that's when I came to the temple, and I lived in ISKCON, New Jersey, and I also got in trouble in life too, and I really needed, the devotees to fall back on, and that actually was the greatest gift. Similar, I thought I had it figured out how Krishna was going to arrange my life, but then he made my life completely fall apart. And it was beautiful though, because that my life falling apart was like the very thing that gave me my spiritual life. And Krishna forced me to do a community devotional service for 100 hours. And that actually helped me, a lot. Martine raised hand.
Martine, unmute yourself.
Haribo, I'm a little congested, so my apologies. I'm looking at text 62, and the description here is a little disturbing to me, to be honest with you. That during the rasa dance, Lord Krishna placed his feet upon this gopis' breast, and by embracing those feet, the gopis gave up all distress. So there is no way one can embrace the feet when they are put on one's breast, and I find that a pretty violent picture, to be honest with you.
Violent.
Yeah,
what?
what?
I'm not sure how it's
Well, being a woman, if I visualize the feet on my breast, I don't think that's a. So I would like to, maybe you can explain, at a different level what that means, because I don't see. For me, I am having a hard time associating the embracing of the feet at a spiritual level and the physical picture that I'm getting.
Well, on one level,
I may.
yeah, I appreciate your contribution, and you're asking this question. So from what I know, I don't know anything about the embracing of Krishna's feet. I don't have the right body currently to consider what to do with those feet, especially like the gopis. But it's said in many places that the gopis, breasts are usually known for being soft. And so the gopis, they would lament that they felt their breasts they were so worried about Krishna's feet being damaged by the thorns and the different sticks in the forest, that they wanted to place the feet on their breasts to give some comfort, but then they lamented that their breasts were too hard. But it's just a different level of love, and also, maybe some cultural elements too, where maybe in our society, it's not like he was standing on their chests, if that's what you're thinking. If you're thinking like it's a violent thing like that, that's not, that's not at all the case. But yeah, these are acts of love, between Krishna and his devotees. And remember, these are conjugal lovers. So this is this is romantic, so yes, it may not seem romantic to you or I. We don't necessarily have that the same context, but to the gopis and Krishna, these are very endearing exchanges. So yeah, anything like violence or anything like that, none of that is actually that would be what's called rasa bus, or it would be conflicting to the actual mood. There's no scope for anything like that.
Maybe violent was not the right word I chose, but you got the idea of where I was going with that.
Well, if you want to clarify more,
yeah, no, I mean, I have that picture in my mind, and I can certainly, because I've been, following for 5 years now, just the association, somehow I wasn't getting the clear, a clear explanation, if you will. So thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, well, I hope I
oh yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
I hope I was helpful.
Yeah, our conditioning is weird. Our conditioning is weird. We're all coming from weird places, and let's not let that stand in the way between us and our understanding of those subject matters. If we just continue with the process, sticking to the process, keeping taking prashanam, associating with the devotees, hearing from them, going from first canto to 10th progressively, then we'll get purified, especially when we're chanting, serving the devotees in a submissive state of mind. Then gradually, all those seemingly unconventional things will get cleared. It's because of our conditioning, Martin. You're not alone. Don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. You're
maybe
very
powerful was a more accurate word in a way. It was a powerful picture that rather than violent, because that's not what I meant to say. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Martin. Yeah, we hear you. We hear you. Thank you so much.
No.
Yes, I just wanted to follow up as a devotee in a female body, just to first thank Martine for having the courage to bring up a concern like that, because it's so important for us to feel comfortable in the association of the devotees, to bring up concerns of something that we read that might bring up like a strong emotional response, and to feel comfortable bringing it to the devotees so that they can address it, so that we can kind of move past it and then go to, where's the love for Krishna? Where's that exchange? So I just wanted to thank Martine for that. And then also, as somebody in a female body, we have to remember that when people are involved in like an amorous pursuits, and not to get into it too much in terms of Srimad Bhagavatam class, people get very creative as to how they express their love to each other. And if we're thinking about Krishna, who is the source of all pleasure and all love, like, of course, he's going to have so many varied pastimes with the people that he loves as well. So just for us to keep in mind that it's not surprising for them to kind of engage in loving pastimes in many different ways. And for that to be, I think it's also really great that Ram Das Prabhu brought up that it's also cultural. Remember, there's a whole, like in the Vedic culture, like feet is also something that's very important in terms of our respect and loving exchanges. Touching the feet of our elders, things of that sort. So I'm sorry
It's also our Guru Chitra moment when the conch is blowing. I'm gonna take a short. You will like your haircut. Is that Shika? Jai, Shishirana Muladhar, Shigur Chandra Ki Jai, Ramdas and Sita Didi and the Syracuse group Ki Jai. Thank you. Wonderful class. One time in the early days, a devotee artist drew, I believe it was Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda, and they drew muscles and all kinds of other, features. And Srila Prabhupada told them, do not over-sexualize Krishna. It has to be innocent. So, Martine, just don't go there. It's all innocent pastimes. There's nothing, just, Srila Prabhupada said like that, do not go there. Do not sexualize or do not go into those details. It's all, soft limbs, embraces, side glances, that kind of stuff. Do not go into muscles and, how it all physically, it's not physical. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. And also, there's a wonderful prayer in the Pujari room. In every Pujari room, Amita Kishori Didi knows it by heart. It says, whatever offenses, whatever imperfections I may have, Lord, please forgive us. Srimad Bhagavatam class is real and things come up and our realization may be limited, but we would like to sincerely beg forgiveness if we committed any offenses. And we'd like to seek the blessings of all the devotees so that we can continue on our path of understanding Srimad Bhagavatam, diving deeper without freaking out. And thank you so much for bearing with us. Ramdas, you're a hero. Thank you so much. And say hi to Anupam. Hug your group members, Syracuse. Come visit. Do some more. There's no shortage of bhakti community service. We have enough service for you. And don't get in trouble. We're all in trouble. We're on this world in trouble. So let's get out of the trouble by engaging in devotional service on a daily basis. In the association of Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis. Okay. Any final instructions for us, Ramdas?
No. Just continue hearing Bhagavatam and render service to pure devotees, and all the troubles will go away. Almost all that is troublesome to the heart will be completely destroyed in love for Shri Krishna.
Yeah. Nasta Priyashabhadrishu, the verse. Okay, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Om Tat Sat, love you
Hare
all.
Krishna.
Krishna is innocent. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.